Look just up
I
there.
know, that's why I caught myself.
So here we are.
Back, guys. Welcome back. Two-week hiatus.
Whose phone's on there?
I don't know whose phone was that.
Not mine.
Oh,
I don't think it was mine.
no, that's okay.
Hey, welcome to a new year. Welcome to Talk and Fight. Welcome to the Friday night panel. Glad to have you guys with me again. It's Derek, Christian,
Hello.
and
Yes.
Mike. Now more famously known for his show Knuckle Up.
Yeah,
Right
man.
on. Right on. So, what are we going to start off with tonight?
We're going to start off with Christian's history lesson because we haven't heard one in 2 weeks.
Well, you know what? And that being said, I don't. 2020 was such a bummer. I'm not. I don't really want to look back tonight. We're not really doing history. I want to talk about next year, actually.
Making history.
Well, yeah, future history. We'll call it that. We'll work that way. Something we haven't talked about, but something that's going to be coming up very shortly, and I think it's going to be occupying a lot of our time in the near future, assuming it doesn't get canceled again. We're only a little 7 months off the Olympics.
Oh, wow. Wow.
20, and as it sits right now, the Tokyo Olympics are still taking place. And the boxing tournament specifically is going to be running between the 23rd of July and the 8th of August. So I've got a lot I'm looking forward to here, just because there's a lot going on. It's a bit muddled still. For those of you who don't remember, back in May of 2019, in the run up to what was supposed to be Tokyo the first time round, the International Olympic Committee, the governing body for the Olympics, announced that the International Boxing Association had been stripped of its rights to organize the tournament due to what they were calling issues in the areas of finance, governance, ethics, and refereeing and judging. So instead, the whole tournament's being organized by an ad hoc task force led by Morinari Watanabe, who is the president of the International Gymnastics Federation. I know he's been at. I did a little looking into him. He's been around for a while. He's been working with gymnastics at the national level in Japan, at least since 2009. So I mean, he knows his way around a tournament. We'll see how that translates to boxing though in 2021. But the big problem right now we're still having with the upcoming tournament is that is the qualifiers. Not all of them have happened yet. So normally the way it works is each Olympic committee is permitted to enter one athlete in each event, 6 places, 4 for men and 2 for female athletes. Were reserved for those 4 places for men and 2 for female were automatically set aside for the host nation, which is kind of commonplace. So the Japanese get some automatic ins there. Everyone else, though, is going to have to go through the qualifying tournaments. There's one for Africa, one for the Americas, one for Asia and Oceania. That's going to include Australia, New Zealand, Tasmania, that kind of area of the world there, as well as Europe. And then there's the World Olympic Qualifier as well. Now, all of these were scheduled to kind of take place over the course of a couple of events earlier last year, but due to the ongoing COVID pandemic, some of this has been postponed. So the Americas, as well as the World, and I think some of the European one as well, are all taking place from April till June of 2021, and that event's going to be happening in London. So we don't even have a full card yet for the upcoming Olympic Games. So as we kind of get closer to the Olympics, I'm sure we are going to be talking a lot more about this, and we'll be bringing you some previews and some fighters that we're interested in seeing. But there's obviously more to come because we don't have that card yet. But I think it's going to be really cool. It's a great exposure for amateur athletes. I mean, the list of Olympic medalists who went on to win titles it's massive. Got some short highlights here for you though, just to give you an idea of where the Olympics can set you down the road to here, and how big an opportunity it is. So we're really hoping that this goes forward for these amateur athletes. Is it still known as Cassius Clay at the time? Muhammad Ali, 1960, won light heavyweight gold. Joe Frazier won heavyweight in 1964 and turned professional in 1965. And then, went on to win, obviously, the world championship while Ali was suspended for, his disagreement with the Vietnam War. George Foreman in 1968, gold for one heavyweight. 1976 saw Sugar Ray Leonard boxing. Lennox Lewis won gold medal for Canada in the '88 games, knocking out Riddick Bowe. The 1984 U.S. team saw gold medals for so I think it was Pernell Whitaker, won gold in that one, and it also a bronze medal for Evander Holyfield at the LA games. '88, Roy Jones in '88 in Seoul. It's still one of the most controversial calls ever in boxing. Was his loss in the gold medal in the '88 Seoul games to Park Si-hun.
Yeah, he should have won that shit.
Who, frankly, Park Si-hun even looked like his jaw dropped when the ref raised his glove.
What? It's like, really?
He's like,
he had to look and see whose arm it was attached to, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, these are big, and then of course, Floyd Mayweather in the Atlanta games, and again, he got a bad decision on that one. Then he went pro the same year and basically hasn't lost since. So I mean, the Olympic Games can really be a big stepping stone for young athletes, for amateur athletes. It's a chance for them to get their hands on
transition.
Well, it's exposure is what it is, right? And it's a chance to get your hands on those sponsorship deals and on these,
Get on that Wheaties box.
Exactly it. That's exactly it, man. It's a huge chance for these guys. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm super looking forward to the Olympic Games coming up.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, me too. I totally forgot about it. I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to. Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua is the biggest talk right now in the boxing.
I wish it would go past talk. It seems to just be talk right now.
Well, we'll see what's happening now is what I've heard is that it's set in stone. Well, not really set in stone. It has yet to be confirmed, but it might be happening in May or June of this year. So we're going to see, and it might be picked up by, I think it was somewhere down in the South might take it because of the COVID series or situation over in Britain right now. But honestly, I'd like to see that fight more than I'd like to see Wilder Fury 3. But Fury's kind of not honoring the deal that they kind of put together because they were supposed to have their trilogy fight. But you know what? The world wants to see the two Brits battle it out, and that fight's going to be for the unification for the heavyweight belt, right? So realistically, that needs to happen. And if that unification happens, that'll be the 9th person in history to unify.
Have you been following their Twitter battle?
Oh God.
No, I haven't. Is it good?
It's been well. I mean, Anthony Joshua tweeted the other day a picture of himself saying, a great modern day fighter will be able to compete in any era. And then Fury just kind of started lacing into it, going like, well, that's you out the window, chump. Another one he wrote was like, a great my arse. You got knocked out by a chubby kid who had 3 weeks notice. Yeah, so he's that was just yesterday that they've been in there. They've been at each other again. So, but that's all I've been seeing of this right now is just kind of them going at each other in the press, but nothing really happening.
But that's the thing is like Fury's really good. Like he's almost self-promoting. Like he promotes himself. He gets the hype going. And that's part of like what garners the deal. It's not just the fact that they're great fighters. It's how they self-promote themselves. Oh,
he was saying, I read a comment that he said, he was like, Anthony Joshua, my ass, the greatest heavyweight of all time. He's like, I'm going to knock his head off in 2 rounds. Like, they're just shit talking back and forth. But honestly, this fight needs to happen. I think the longer we wait, the more we're, the more the world's going to talk about it because it's already talked about so much right now. But we got Usyk, and Usyk said he'll step up to fight Deontay Wilder if Wilder doesn't end up fighting Fury for the 3rd one because that hasn't been squashed yet. So it can go either way at the moment. But I think the world really wants to see the two Brits battle it out, man.
Oh, absolutely. So, Mike, my understanding, though, is that there's mandatories, right? So I think Anthony Joshua's, I might be wrong here, but Anthony Joshua's mandatory is Usyk, and Tyson Fury's mandatory is Povetkin, right? Because Povetkin smoked Dylan White earlier.
Right.
Who Dylan White was Tyson Fury's mandatory for the WBC.
Right.
So in order for Joshua and Fury to fight, then Joshua would have to basically relinquish all the belts, and because he's basically skirting the mandatories. I might be totally wrong, but that might have to happen, right? But it would be, they're calling it the Battle of Britain, right?
Yeah, they're calling it the Battle of Britain. But also another big thing that could be another issue is Wilder is expecting this third fight, and I've found talks about it where he said he'll bring it to court and
well, it's gone to mediation, right? Like
Yeah,
it went to mediation because they were scheduled to fight in December, and
That's right.
it didn't happen. But the thing is, I almost want to see that trilogy happen, because so here's my opinion, and chime in and tell me what you guys think about this. But so in the heavyweight division, and we've touched on this before, it's a one punch deal sometimes, right?
Yeah, man.
They're all good fighters, but sometimes it just like, it's disproportionate the amount of power that they produce and the body's ability to take that much punishment. So we saw it with Dylan White and with Povetkin. So basically Povetkin was the older of the two. He was down twice. And then Povetkin came back and just destroyed Dylan White. Like, it was a terrible knockout. Just like, it was kind of made your stomach sick knockout. And the thing is like, does that necessarily make him a better fighter?
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily, right? It was a one-punch deal. So if
you know what, he was better on that day.
Exactly, better on that day, and he had a one lucky punch that he got through. So does that make him a better fighter? Not necessarily, but I almost think, like, for all heavyweight fights, it should be trilogies. Like, it's great. Like, it gets a lot of excitement going, and you get the best 2 out of 3. So it really determines who the better fighter is. I like trilogies. I think they're good, and it breeds a lot of excitement around it.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I'd like to see it.
The problem is just trying to line them up, any kind of scheduling, because you never know how one guy's going to walk out of the ring, right?
Exactly.
So that between bouts, that could be 6 months, could be however long these guys are, recovering, training, and everything else.
Totally.
Taking care of mandatories.
Totally. Absolutely. But you touched on Usyk, Mike.
Yeah, Usyk.
Now that guy basically flew through the whole cruiserweight division.
Oh yeah.
And now he's gone up in weight, and he's fighting heavyweight. Now, how do you think he's going to fare against these monsters of guys? Like, Tyson Fury is 6'9". The guy is huge.
He's massive. He's going to have to play inside the pocket, man. That's, like when you're fighting a guy who's, a giraffe necessarily,
Yeah.
How do you fight against a guy who's got, I don't even know what his reach is. Isn't it like something like 90 inches or something?
It's ridiculous.
Like, his reach is as tall as I am, really.
Exactly.
The guy's an ogre.
He's gonna have to use
85 inches.
85, there we go. So he's 85
216 centimeters.
It's big, right?
That's
big.
Huge. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And for somebody like Usyk, who's a lot smaller, to fight a guy like that, he's just gonna have to work really hard on his speed and power and his conditioning, and be able to get on the inside and stay in that pocket, because as long as he stays in that pocket and eliminates the ability of Tyson Fury's reach, the sky's the limit, right? Yeah. Like you said, one punch could end the whole fight.
Yep.
He stays inside, gets in with a good uppercut on Tyson Fury. You never know what could happen.
But I think you're right. I agree with you. But I think he's got to get in, and he's got to get back out again, and get in and then get out. Because the thing is, later in the rounds, if it lasts that long, they're going to get tired. And imagine the weight of Tyson Fury leaning on you. You're going to be exhausted. Like, you're not going to be able to.
Yeah,
if they start clinching up.
Carrying your tired weight plus a tired weight of some guy who's 7 feet tall.
You're done. Like, you're done, right?
Like I can barely piggyback my 14-year-old kid, man. You think I can piggyback a 7-foot monster? It's ridiculous. But honestly, I want to see the Battle of the Brits, man. I want to see the unification of the heavyweight belt. I want to see it. I want to see that more than Wilder. I think, Wilder, he ruptured that eardrum in that last fight in February with Tyson Fury. That may have caused, him to lose, and, well, it probably did cause him to lose. A ruptured eardrum will kind of screw anybody over. Yeah. But, even their first fight that was a draw, Fury got dumped on the mat twice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, we do need to see
it's also the only draw on his record, though.
What I mean?
It's also the only draw on Fury's record.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're talking about records in Fury, that's...
Yeah.
Actually, on the reach front, though, there's actually only a 3-inch difference between Joshua and Fury.
See, that's good.
Yeah, so
That's
it's not that huge a difference. I mean,
Well,
yeah,
you know
Fury's a
what?
big guy, but he's only got 3 inches, a 3-inch advantage.
Joshua's a very talented boxer.
Yep.
You know, that when he fought Pulev, it was great to see him back after that horrible loss to, what was it?
Ruiz Jr.
Yeah, Ruiz Jr. Like that was a shit show, to be honest. Like he didn't look like the best Brit in town. You know what I mean?
No.
And he looked amazing when he came back against Pulev. And honestly, let's see it, man. Let's see these Brits bash it out. Let's see who the best of the Brits are, and then let Usyk fight Wilder and knock him the fuck out. Didn't know if I should swear there, but I felt like it, so I did. But yeah, definitely, I'd like to see Usyk fight Wilder. Wilder's my boy. I love him. The Bronze Bomber. The guy's a beast. He's got those clubs for hands, buddy. And that Usyk Wilder, man, that could be a really big fight, man. That a lot of drawbacks there, and
yeah,
great to see, man. Definitely.
So if you put Fury against Joshua, not later on down the road, but like right now, who would you say? Because I've got my opinion on something, and I want to see what you've got to think about it.
Honestly,
what you got to say about it.
Honestly, I'm gonna say I'm gonna stick with the guy that I like to back. I think Fury might take Joshua.
I agree. I think Fury would take Joshua right now because I still saw when he was fighting Pulev.
He wasn't as good as he was.
He was tentative. He was tentative.
Very tentative.
He was tentative. He wasn't just unloading, and he wasn't like relaxed. His style wasn't as relaxed because he got caught. He got caught with Ruiz, and it was still in the back of his mind. That takes time to get. That takes time to get over. When your bell rung.
When your ego gets hurt, like that, and you show up to a fight that you were supposed to dominate and win, and you get your shit slapped, like in the schoolyard, you get your lunch money taken. It takes a long time to come back from that.
Exactly. Exactly.
And yes, you are right. He was very reserved in that Pulev fight.
He was good. Honestly, he was good, but reserved. Yeah.
Yeah, he was reserved. He was reserved. But yeah, if they were to fight next week, Fury all the way.
100% all the way.
If they fight come May, June, and they got that time to go and watch training each other's game and start training for the fights. Yep. I think Joshua might take it.
Yep, because
that situation.
He's just got the honestly, the athleticism is beyond belief, right? He's just got it. But then again, Tyson Fury, I've never seen a guy that size move like he does.
And that's only happened in the last couple of years, man, because he's really changed up his training. He used to come out there, the Gypsy King, here, Mr. Flab.
He was just there to absorb shots in the beginning.
And then he was so big.
He was a great big guy, and he could absorb shots until you got tired. That's what he was good for.
He was throwing a fist, and his stomach was moving at the same time and same speed. Now when you look at the guy, he's all trim. He's trimmed up. He's conditioned. He's a way different fighter than he was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but there's a lot of guys coming up the ranks too. It's a good era now for the heavyweight division. It's really exciting, and if they unify, if the belt gets unified, and if the Battle of Britain happens and the belts get unified, like you say, the last person was Lennox Lewis, right?
Actually,
I believe.
Yeah, I believe it was. I know there's only 8. I know there's only 8 people in history, and one of them is a woman. We did do a piece on her a couple of weeks ago. And so there hasn't been too many unifications of the belts, and if this fight happens and the belts get unified, it's all the what it is. It's all the politics around boxing and how it's honestly one of the most difficult sports to navigate, to figure out between the promoters and the mandatories and the governing bodies and the rankings, and then the fact that you got 16 divisions or 16 weight classes, and then you've got WBC, IBF, WBO, WBA,
ring
and then there's some other little smaller ones too.
Holy God, it's just so
it makes for an exciting year of boxing because there's always a match on. There's always something to watch. There's always some sort of title match. There's always some sort of big fight. There's always something.
I'd love to do, maybe this is something for the future, but I'd love to do a piece, if we can get our act together and try and like break it on down. Like, how does the boxing world work? Like, what's the ins and outs of it? Like, how does it
And
all
which
come
belt
about?
means the most?
Yeah.
Right?
WBC, right? I think
Yeah, I believe it's
WBC
WBC. Yeah,
means like that's the cream of the crop, right?
yeah, that's yeah, I guess it's the
But
equivalent of the
why?
UFC.
But
Yeah,
why, right?
why?
Like that's like, why? Is it just historical? What is it, right? Or is it
Well,
because
Mr.
they get the
Mr.
better
Mr.
fighters?
Mr. Historian can start looking that up for us for some of our later episodes.
Yeah.
Go to the guy in the corner, Christian.
Yeah.
Let us know. Let us know. Let us know when these belts started. That'll be good for our next episode, man. We'll find out the history on these belts.
We can do a pedigree on the belts for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be interesting, yeah. But I'm interested too, like how does it all work, right? Like how does the mandatories work? How does how do the promoters versus the what do they call it? It's slipping my mind, but the WBC, it's hard to unify the belt basically. It's really difficult to do that because everybody has their mandatories in every one of their silos and they don't like to cross and fight amongst,
That's why
sanctioning bodies.
Yes,
that was the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, that is the word.
Yeah.
But no, definitely, man.
Yeah.
I'd like to find out how it all works too, because realistically, like, it's all about your team. It's all about your team and the right moves that they make to make these fights happen. And it's who's behind you, really.
And it's money, and it's also promotion. That's why you see some of these guys that are like Billy Joe Saunders and like Tyson Fury. They're characters. Like they're like the stuff that comes out of their mouth and the things they do are hilarious and unbelievable and like controversial, and like they get right in people's faces. But that brings the hype, and with the hype comes the money, right? Like It's all about, and sometimes it's not even about their, I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're all great boxers, but like sometimes it's not even necessarily about their boxing skills. Sometimes it's a little bit more about even like how they self-promote that gets them where they are.
My favorite has to be Tyson Fury coming out on the friggin' throne, being carried by people, wearing the crown and the cape with the scepter.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Rocky IV, watching Apollo Creed come out to fight Drago on the friggin' ring. Like it was ridiculous. Yeah. And then you get Deontay Wilder coming out wearing these friggin' retarded masks.
Yeah.
Reminds me of a guy back in the day, Yankee Suto from K1. He used to come out with a friggin' KFC bucket on his head.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that crap, man. These guys, they're hilarious in what they do.
Didn't he claim that?
Does it go too far though? At what point does it start to turn into like WWE wrestling?
Wow,
that's the personas and the costumes.
Yeah, you know what?
Like,
just look at
right?
At what point do they start manufacturing soap operas off screen so that we get more interested in fights? Like,
but honestly, that's why I like Mike Tyson. The towel ripped over his head, walking in. That's it. He just instilled fear in people, and rightly so. Like he was great, right? Like that was just amazing. That era, I remember. Getting the pay-per-view with my dad at that time, and we just watched every one of them. It was just the greatest thing ever. He was just annihilating people. It was really good. That was a good era.
I love that era.
Yeah,
that era was good. Yeah. It was all about the business, man. It wasn't about showing anything to anybody, man. It was just come on out and whoop some butt.
Yep, totally.
Anything else, Graham? You got something you want to talk about, Graham? You're so quiet there tonight.
This has been a pleasure to listen to because we've actually bounced from the history segment of the Olympics to the Battle of Britain. Talking about some legendary eras of boxing. Yeah. I think somehow we managed to integrate history into this discussion tonight quite well.
We did.
I was trying to avoid that. I was trying to look to the future. The Olympics are coming up, and then now we slipped right into history again.
So here's another thing that I stumbled across. You guys, tell me what you think of this, because I thought it was pretty funny. So after Mike Tyson and the Roy Jones Jr. fight, it's sparked a little flame under Evander Holyfield's ass, and he said that he would accept a fight too. Another fighter from the past has decided that he'll try his hand at stepping in the ring with Mike Tyson again.
Ooh.
Buster Douglas.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Buster Douglas says he will come out of retirement to step back in the ring with Mike Tyson again.
But when did he retire? Like,
Like,
God,
yeah.
like,
Like, how old is this guy?
20.
I don't
Yeah.
even know how old Buster Douglas is, to be honest. But yeah, he said that he would definitely do an exhibition match after the Roy Jones Jr. exhibition. He would definitely step into the ring. I think that would be pretty funny.
He stepped out of the ring in '99
Okay.
Oh, God.
after 45 bouts. Yeah, active from '81 to '99.
How old is he? Can you see in the stats there? Do you have
Where's his birthday? Born 1960.
Oh,
April 7th, 1960.
That's a good year, eh, Graham?
Vintage.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to see Buster Douglas get in there though one more time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's going to swinging canes.
yeah.
Oh no. He's gonna have crutches, man, for sure.
But at what point, right? Like, are you endangering the lives of people? Because like some of these old guys, they still got power and stuff, but like,
You mean stepping into the ring, like
yeah, yes, actually stepping in the ring,
tripping over the rope?
tripping over the rope. Personal support workers.
We don't know if Buster Douglas can walk up the stairs to get into that ring, to be honest.
Well, I'm sure they have accessibility ramps.
And it's so funny. If we ever had him on the show, we'd all be so polite to him.
No, I wouldn't. I'd talk shit right to his face.
We're just joking around.
So
we love you, Buster Douglas, if you're watching.
Yeah.
Mike and I had Dangerous Drew Durs on the show earlier on, and he predicted with respect to the Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather fight, he actually pulled a tarot card prediction. Guess who he picked?
Who?
I mean, I have no idea. I mean, I know who he might pick, but I haven't the foggiest who the stars have picked.
So the stars,
the Cosmos picked?
The Cosmos actually picked Floyd Mayweather.
Oh,
Wow.
it's a given.
Surprise.
That makes me wonder. You go, was it the cards, or did he just flip a bunch of cards and then tell us what he,
Yeah.
Well, we first asked him if he was following the modern day era of boxing, because he used to box. He's a street fighter, I guess, is how we might.
An underground. Don't talk about Fight Club.
Yeah, right.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and apparently used to run with Mark Galloway.
Oh,
Mark Galloway.
Fight Club.
Right. They're both out of the Newsboys clubs.
Huh.
Anyway,
Yeah.
speaking of history, didn't mean to wrap it up with a bit of history there, but
Well, that's okay. It's okay. We love hearing you talk, Graham. You're always so quiet.
well, this has been a pleasure. Off to a new year, and speaking of new, we had Scarlett Delgado's first show today as well. She's going to be bringing some heavyweights to the table in the world of female fighters. So it's going to be a lot of fun going on for us this year.
Definitely. This year is wrapping up to be starting out to be excellent. Actually, the end of this year or last year was great. We started this show, and now it's starting to take off and gain some legs and start to run. And honestly, I see good things for us in the future, boys. We just got to keep up on our fight talk.
And especially with the realm of boxing, with respect to the heavyweights taking it, like they are really carrying the sport right now. I mean, yes, there's lots of other great fighters out there, including a lot of great female fighters, but boy, oh boy, this war of words between these heavyweights is really generating a lot of excitement. So
and there's a lot of good prospects too. There's a lot of good prospects coming up in the heavyweights right now.
Yeah.
Gives us lots to talk about.
My Knuckle Up show. I was talking about them. They're on the Knuckle Up show. Check it out. Tony Yoka, he's a good one.
Yeah, Dylan White, or not Dylan White, sorry.
Daniel Dubois.
Daniel Dubois, yeah. Holy
Another
smokes.
one, right? Like
that guy hits.
Honestly, the heavyweight has so much talent right now. And like you said, man, it's the lucky punch. You know, this could be the year of belts changing hands quickly, depending on who they're fighting and what happens, man. Like the talent pool is not shallow in the heavyweight division. That's for damn sure. Yeah.
It's going to be a good year.
Right on. Well, thanks very much.
Hopefully a year of knockouts.
Well, we refer to the Tyson Roy Jones Jr. fight as a pillow fight. So you don't need those go back to that LOL moniker. You can just say the pillow fight. We'll all know what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah. So Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson pillow fight.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see that one.
I don't even know if that's hard sparring at that point. We might be down to medium sparring.
Are you sure? Are you sure that's not senior napping?
Can we get that medium rare sparring somewhere in there?
I'm pretty sure it's just choreographed. That's all. It's a fight scene for a movie.
All right, lads. That's it then.
All right.
Friday night panel over and out.
All right, guys. See you later.
So I'm gonna
Happy New Year, guys. Good to be back.
Triple combos out there, Mikey.
Yeah, man. Jab that like, hook subscribe, and knock out those comments. We want to hear from you, fans. Come on. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know who you want us to talk about.
Thank you. We'll see you next Friday.
Yeah, man, for sure.
See ya.
Hey, guys.
Good night.
Have a good night.